Yeah, I don't know if there is a good Minton. Oh, hey, just reminiscing about strong bad emails of yore. It's cassette story time. Side B, as I like to call it. I'm just gonna do weird mouth things right for a bit. Alright, got that out of my system. So, yeah, the last couple of weeks we've had Anthrax, we've had Skid Row. Coming up, we're going to have some Megadeth and some Slayer. So this week, of course, that means we're going to be featuring... What? Yeah. It's a little curveball for all y'all. It's the Happy Anniversary Charlie Brown album from 1990 for the Peanuts Gang's 40th anniversary. This is a all-star compilation album, which you might notice is on GRP Records, a famous jazz label. Dare I say this album contains some smooth jazz? Oh yes it does. Let us take a look at this. For those of you who don't know, I am a huge fan of Charles Schulz and his body of work, the Peanuts Gang. My first books were Peanuts Gang books. I still have all of them on a bookshelf. I used to have my brother got me, he used to live in Texas, and when he moved, he used to visit now and then. He brought me this bright orange drawstring Astros bag with the old Astros logo with the baseball swirling around like atoms around the Astrodome logo. And it was the brightest orange. And I could carry all my Peanuts books around in that when I had to get babysat wherever I was getting taken, my grandma's or my Aunt Martha's and all that. And it's full of Peanuts books, and I read them so often my mom took them away from me for a day because she was worried I was reading them too much. It's a true story. So yeah, I've got a lot of Charlie Brown type stuff. I've got a stuffed Snoopy I've had since I was 3. I still have it. I should have brought that over here as a prop, but I didn't remember to do that. Yeah, so that stuffed Snoopy is 42. So, hint, hint, that's how old I am. So, yeah, really big fan of the Peanuts Gang. The cartoons, the movies, the books, and the music, of course, Vince Guaraldi. I would later go on to get all out of Vince Guaraldi's Peanuts work, all of it actually that you can get. But before I knew that stuff was available, actually I don't know if it was available on cassette at the time. It might have been out of print then, because the Peanuts Gang, they weren't as popular in the 90s when I was really buying cassettes. But this did come out on GRP, and I just had to have it. I got this, of course, from the Columbia Record Club, 12 albums for a penny. This was one of them, I think. So, or maybe this was I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I'd seen this in stores before, and I thought about buying it. But, there's that peer pressure. I mean, I used to think, I didn't really give into peer pressure a lot, but there are subtle means of peer pressure. Like, you don't want to buy an album that has Kenny G on it with your friends along, because they'll never let you hear the end of the fact that you bought an album with Kenny G on it. And if you like Kenny G, that's great, but, when you're used to buying, hair rock bands and suddenly you're buying an album with Kenny G on it, that's kind of stands out. But, let's get to what's on here anyway. The only album I own, actually, from GRP Crescendo Records. It's got the Peanuts font. It's got you got the 40th anniversary, 40 years of happiness logo there with Charlie Brown and Snoopy. Yes, light. I love this light, but it glares so much. That's a good look at it. That's a good look at it. Yeah. That's a digital master. Okay, so we have track 1, Linus and Lucy by David Benoit, Joe Cool by the late legendary B.B. King, History Lesson by Dave Grusin? That guy. Great Pumpkin Waltz by Chick Corea. You can tell I'm not really into the smooth jazz scene. I don't know how to say these names. Joe Williams with Little Birdie. Jerry Mulligan on Rain, Rain, Go Away. Kenny G doing the Breadline Blues. Red Baron by Lee Redneur. Christmas Time Is Here, sung by Patty Austin. And the Charlie Brown theme by Amani A.W. Murray, I believe. Benjamin by Dave Brubeck. and Linus and Lucy Reprise, once again by David Benoit, all put together on this little cassette. Available on CD. I never did get the CD update, but this is one of the albums I transferred from cassette to my computer via a complicated series of wires and the program Audacity. Because some albums I just wasn't going to buy a second time. Your GRP album construction, and it's your basic snap together clear. There's no visible screws because it's like I said, it's snapped together. And I'll be honest, this one I queued up, so I know it's still cassettes, but we'll just pop it in the old Radio Shack here. Yep. Until I had the Vince Guaraldi version, this is the only version of Linus and Lucy I owned for a very long time. Not exactly, the traditional version, but, Mr. Schultz liked his smooth jazz to go with his music and his cool jazz, and that, it works. It was the only one I had for a long time, so, I haven't listened to this album in a very long time. I do have it on my digital library. Maybe I'll have to dust it off one of these days. I used to, for an album that you think I might have bought just because it was the Charlie Brown thing, I actually did listen to it quite a bit. It's one of those albums I think I forced myself to like because it was the only Charlie Brown album that I thought existed at the time that I could easily acquire on a cassette tape. So I kind of, listened to it to the point where I did like it. Because I remember the first time I listened to it, I was a little like, I don't know about this. But, yeah. Charlie Brown, 40th anniversary album. Not exactly a super well-remembered album, and probably not the album you were expecting today, but you just... Okay, most of the time you know what's going to come on the show. But not always.